You know the snow will slowly melt, but my love will never die.
Deorr Kunz disappearance, a timeline of events. Today, July 10, 2025, it's been 10 years since Idaho Falls toddler Deorr Kunz, Jr. was reported missing. Investigators continue to search for the 2-year-old in Leadore, but so far no sign of the boy has been found. EastIdahoNews.com has created a timeline to detail the events of the past 10 days. Friday, July 10, Deorr Kunz Jr., his father, mother, great-grandfather, and a family friend travel 120 miles from Idaho Falls to Timber Creek Campground in Leadore. The campsite is remote and takes around 2.5 hours to drive to from Idaho Falls. At 2:28 p.m., Deorr's mother, Jessica Mitchell, calls 911 and reports her son missing. Search crews arrive and begin to look for the toddler. Saturday, July 11. Searchers look on horseback, ATVs, foot, and in water for deer. They focus on a 2.5-mile radius around the campground. One area of concern is a creek about 15 yards away from the campsite. The area is searched numerous times. Sunday, July 12, the Lemhi County Sheriff's Office reports nearly 200 volunteers show up to look for deer. His grandmother tells EastIdahoNews.com it appears the 2-year-old just vanished. Volunteer search efforts are suspended, but deputies say trained professionals will continue to look for the boy. Monday, July 13, in their only interview, Deorr's parents explain what happened the previous Friday afternoon. They say they no longer believe he's lost but think someone may have abducted their son and make a plea for his safe return. That evening, around 200 people gather in Idaho Falls for a candlelight vigil. Tuesday and Wednesday, July 14 and 15, search efforts continue near the campground. Dive crews focus on the stone reservoir located about a quarter of a mile from where the family was camping. Deorr's parents remain camped near the site as deputies search the creek once again and determine Deorr is not there. Thursday, July 16. A representative from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children arrives in Leadore. Lemhi County Sheriff Lynn D. Bowerman posts an update on Facebook clarifying remarks on the search. National media are now covering the story, including HLN's The Nancy Grace Show. Friday, July 17, the Bonneville County Sheriff's dive team is called in to help search the reservoir. Divers use a sonar robot to assist in foggy waters. Crews on horseback return to the hills near the campground. Saturday, July 18. It's Deorr's father's birthday. He spends the day camped yards away from where his son disappeared. Search efforts continue. Sunday, July 19, it's been 10 days since Deorr was last seen. The Timber Creek Campground has been searched dozens of times. Crews have scoured the stone reservoir and creek. Investigators release few new details and Deorr's family remains desperate for answers. Up to this point, no evidence has been found to suggest where the 2-year-old boy may be. Isaac Rainwand shares his timeline of events in the Deorr Kunz case. He was the only non-family member on a camping trip when a 2-year-old boy disappeared in Lemhi County 1 year ago. Now, Isaac Rainwand is sharing more details about what he says happened the day the child vanished. Rainwand recently sat down with EastIdahoNews.com for an extensive interview about his experience at Timber Creek Campground in Leadore. Rainwand was at the campsite when Deorr Kunz Jr. vanished July 10, 2015. Deorr's parents, Jessica Mitchell and Vernal Deorr Kunz, were also there along with Robert Bob Walton, Mitchell's grandfather. Rainwand says Walton, Mitchell, Kunz, and young Deorr arrived at his home on the afternoon of July 9, 2015. There were 2 trucks. Bob showed up first and then everyone else showed up, Rainwand says. Bob had been my friend for over 5 years, but it was the first time I'd ever seen the others. Related Isaac Rainwand, I had nothing to do with Deorr's disappearance. Rainwand says Deorr was in a child's seat in the back of Kunz's truck. He seemed just like a normal, happy outgoing kid, Rainwand recalls. Rainwand and Walton rode together to Timber Creek Campground and by the time they arrived, it was almost dark. I set up camp and helped start a fire, Rainwand says. We set everything up and Bob slept in his camper. I slept in a tent. Jessica, Vernal, Deorr and the baby slept in the back of Bob's blue blazer. The next morning, July 10, Rainwand recalls seeing Deorr as the group ate breakfast. The child was wearing large cowboy boots and clumping around the campsite. He was playing and trying to throw stuff in the fire. His dad got after him for it, but he was just like a normal 2-year-old, Rainwan says. After breakfast, Rainwan says he went back to sleep in his tent. He woke up around noon as Mitchell and Kunz were leaving camp. Jessica and baby deorr and his dad were heading to the store to see if they could get some gas, Rainwan says. The group went to the Stage Stop Junction store in deorr, about a 30-minute drive on rocky terrain from Timber Creek campground. While they were gone, Rainwan says Walton took him around to various fishing holes near the campsite. A short time later, Kunz, Mitchell and deorr returned. Walton suggested that Rainwan show them a nearby fishing hole. I went to show Jessica where the fishing hole was and I assumed deorr and his dad were right behind me, Rainwan remembers. I thought we were going as a group. Rainwan recalls arriving at the fishing spot 300 to 400 feet from the campsite. Mitchell was with him, but Rainwan says Kunz and deorr were not. He assumed they were lagging behind. Rainwan says he then went to a different part of the creek to fish by himself. I was down there fishing for a while and that's when I noticed Bob was on the ridge pacing back and forth, Rainwan says. I asked him what was going on and he said, "Little deorr is missing," and I was like, "What?" Rainwan says Walton appeared stressed and worried. I walked up to the bank and I talked to Bob a little bit more about where deorr might be, Rainwan says. We looked in the camper, we looked all around the area and underneath the vehicles. I went up in the hills to where the reservoir was and looked around. Rainwan says he spent 30 minutes trying to find deorr. Walton, Kunz, and Mitchell were also searching the area surrounding the campground. Mitchell was out in the sagebrush looking, Rainwan says. She came back to camp and I talked to her a little bit. She seemed pretty upset. Rainwan assumed deorr was lost and the child was sitting down somewhere. Mitchell and Kunz called 911 and rescue crews arrived. Rainwan recalls thinking about deorr as he tried to fall asleep that night. I was wondering where he was, if he's cold, if he's going to be sick, if he's okay, Rainwan says. The last time I saw him he was having fun like a normal 2-year-old. He was doing his thing, exploring and looking at different things. Now, 1 year later, Rainwan has had a lot of time to reflect on the events of that fateful camping trip. He says it's possible an accident happened and deorr died, but he doesn't believe Walton had anything to do with it. I don't think Bob could hurt someone, Rainwan says. He had a hard time getting around with his oxygen tank. Rainwan says investigators were interested in a shovel Walton had with him at the campsite. Bob always carried a shovel around with him in his camper or in his blazer, Rainwan says. That was a normal thing he carried with him most of the time. Lemhi County Sheriff Chief Deputy Steve Penner tells EastIdahoNews.com the shovel was one of numerous items detectives have focused on during their investigation and there was nothing abnormal about it. Rainwan says he has nothing to hide and feels people have misjudged him even though he has been cooperative with law enforcement. I felt that I was being scapegoated or maybe partially accused, Rainwan says, noting that he hasn't spoken with Kunz or Mitchell since the camping trip. Bob has come around a few times, Rainwan says. He seems to be doing okay. Rainwan says he's unsure if the case will ever be solved, but he is hopeful. I hope he's found, Rainwan says. People need closure. Deorr's mother and father were two of the last people to see the then 2-year-old before he disappeared. After 4 years, he's still gone without a trace. 2-year-old deorr Kunz Jr. disappeared. His parents say deorr disappeared while they were camping near deorr in Lemhi County, Idaho. 4 people were on that camping trip. Deorr's mom and dad, his great-grandfather, and a friend of the great-grandfather. The great-grandfather died last month. The 3 rarely talk to the media, but his mom and dad say after 4 years, they felt the public needed to hear something. I always think about what would he be doing or what would he be into or what things he would like, Jessica Mitchell, deorr's mother, said. He was only 2.5 years old when he went missing and now it's been 4 years that he's been missing. And he's been missing longer than he's been, you know, he was with me. And so that's really sad to me. Deorr's father, Vernal deorr Kunz, says his little boy always had a toy car in one hand and one of his tools in the other. He'd be working on stuff with me, working on his own stuff, riding a dirt bike, riding 4-wheelers. He'd be building stuff with me. That's exactly what he'd be doing, Kunz said. It's not the easiest thing, he said. I think about this stuff, and it's good stuff, but it's not the easiest thing. Interactive timeline, 4 years since deorr Kunz Jr. disappearance, what you should know. KTVB's Kim Fields, what do you think about Kunz, just how he'd be now. I keep positive. It is positive. But the best thing I ever did has been a father, and I've missed out on that. There are 3 theories as to what happened to deorr. He was kidnapped from the campground, taken off by an animal, or someone on that camping trip did something to him. Fields, do you have anything to hide? Kunz, no, absolutely not. We had nothing to do with this and we don't know anymore. I understand how it looks and how it sounds, we just don't know anymore. And we wish we did, trust me. We wish we did. This is not a way for anybody to live. Fields, what is it like to be accused of murdering your son? Kunz, it's sickening. It's sickening how quickly people will turn. Accusations and rumors about the parents' involvement began to emerge not long after baby deorr disappeared. After 1 year into the investigation, now retired Lemhi County Sheriff Lynn Bowerman named the parents suspects. We've given them too many opportunities to tell us what happened, if it was an accident, Lemhi County Sheriff Bowerman said in 2016. There's been no interest in going that direction. So that tells me there's only one other possibility, that it has to be a homicide. July 10, 2025, marks 10 years since 2-year-old deorr Kunz Jr. disappeared from Timber Creek Campground in Lemhi County. According to the controversial volunteer group Justice for Baby Deer, the day marks another year without answers. In the years since the boy's disappearance, police have developed 3 theories as to what happened to the 2-year-old. First, an animal killed the child, deorr was possibly abducted, or he was the victim of foul play. Philip Klein, of Klein Investigations and Consulting, has theorized that the parents, Jessica Mitchell and Vernal deorr Kunz, know what happened to their son. Klein worked as a private investigator on the case, hired by deorr's parents to find their son. Klein was let go by the family years ago because of his accusations. Then, Vernal hired another private investigator named David Marshburn, who is still involved with the case. Klein has actively repeated his theory in online interviews. The parents still insist they had nothing to do with deorr's disappearance. In 2019, they sued Klein for defamation. According to attorney Alan Browning, that case was thrown out because the judge did not believe enough evidence was provided to prove Klein had slandered Vernal Kunz. While Klein has written online that he proved his case in the slander trial, Vernal Kunz lost his case after the judge reviewed the evidence and in part stated the truth is the ultimate defense, Klein wrote in a Facebook post. Browning has filed another slander suit this year directed at the woman behind the Justice for Baby Deer group. I've actually filed suit against Collie Pearson because she won't stop, Browning said. She has pushed Vernal to the point of near suicide. When all this came down in the earlier years ago, he went into counseling to get rid of the suicidal ideation that he was having because she was telling the world, and Klein was telling the world, that he killed his son. Browning is urgently asking for the accusations to cease, and to simply focus on finding the child. Local News 8 has reached out to Klein for comment, and in response received an email from the Justice for Baby Deer group that Klein and his organization are not taking interviews at this time. The volunteer group, Justice for Baby Deer, writes they still have faith deer will be found. Missing since July 10, 2015. Missing from Lemhi County, Idaho. Classification endangered missing. Sex male race white. Date of birth December 30, 2012, 12. Age 2 years old. Height and weight. 3 feet 0 inches, 28 pounds clothing/jewelry description. A camouflage print jacket, blue pajama pants, green and black checkered socks, and brown cowboy boots with a lighter brown camouflage print. A photo of the boots is posted with this case summary. Distinguishing characteristics. Caucasian male. Blonde hair, brown eyes. Deorr's nickname is Little Man. He has a birthmark on the back of his neck. Lemhi County Sheriff's Office 208-756-8980.
Yeah. Everybody knows that I'm breaking down. Everybody knows I ain't faking now. Everybody knows my heart's vacant now. Yeah, she hates me now, I made mistakes but now I don't ever wanna be alone. I don't really ever feel at home. On my own, in the zone, that's the only way I know. Feeling low, about to blow back up. Here I won't ever let the doubt creep in. Gotta pop a couple more aspirin. I don't think I'll ever let you in. Easier to break it off best friends. I don't really understand myself. I don't really understand, need help. I don't wanna be left on the shelf. Couldn't even hear me if I yelled. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. I'm alone.